After 6 long years of waiting, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is finally here. It is one of, if not the, most anticipated games to release this year, but despite the ridiculously high expectations, the game has seen itself with high praise right after release. And after seeing all the praise this game got, I had to go pick up a copy for myself, which has been a great experience, all except for one moment, right out of the gate. I found the game had reused a feature that I disliked a lot in its predecessor, Breath of the Wild, the shrines. Why didn't you like these shrines? And have your feelings changed from this realization? Are questions you may be asking. Well, all these and more answered later. First off, what even are shrines? Shrines are short puzzles that are used as filler content across the open world of Breath of the Wild. They give a spirit orb for completion that can be traded in for an extra heart or increase of the stamina vessel. This reward is quite small as there are many shrines across the world, but they can make the player feel they have achieved something, even in a short playtime. In Breath of the Wild, there are 4 main abilities you use: Magnesis, Stasis, Cryonis, and Remote Bombs. These 4 abilities allow the player to interact with the world, which means they need to be taught to the player well. The game designers decided to use shrines as tutorials for these 4 abilities, which I think is the best use of shrines in the entire game. The linear design allows the puzzles to be easily understood by players, and each shrine has a build-up of difficulty. The shrine starts with getting the ability, then the player is asked to fix a simple problem using the basic part of the ability. This is best shown in the Magnesis shrine, where the puzzle must move a metal door out of the way so they can enter a hole. The puzzle is simple and teaches the ability well. After the first 2 hours of the game, there are not many new abilities, which means there is not much use for tutorial shrines. So instead, shrines become filler content that just fill in empty areas in the open world. This is common in open world design, as other games such as Elden Ring or Skyrim have similar copy-paste elements in their catacombs and dungeons. They are designed in a way for level designers to go in and make them in bulk quickly. This quick turnaround of content makes it popular with developers who need a big open world but can't be asked to fill it with content. We've all climbed up Assassin's Creed towers or liberated Just Cause towns thousands of times, but what is Zelda's approach to this type of content? Well, let me tell you a story. During my playthrough of Breath of the Wild, I came across this shrine in the North Akkala region. The shrine entailed a golf-like puzzle where the player must hit a ball with a big hammer into a hole using motion controls. The puzzle is mildly fun, but it ends up being incredibly easy and forgettable. The puzzle is also unimportant to the rest of the game. Tell me, when traversing the world of Zelda, have you ever had to use motion controls outside of aiming with your bow? The answer is never, because the mechanic is only used for shrine purposes only. I think filler content isn't bad. It can be fun in the moment, but to make the content resonate with the player, and if Nintendo wants to keep up with this puzzle theme, the content should tie into the rest of the game. So, we finally got to the sequel. After 5 years of patiently waiting, I boot up the game to find the same system that was in the predecessor. This was at first a massive disappointment to me. This feature I had hated had returned. I sighed with disappointment and carried on with the game. By far the biggest feature added is the new Zonai devices. They can be put together to make all sorts of builds, from gliders to torture chambers. The possibilities are endless. So, Nintendo needed to find a way to teach players how to use this new feature, which is where the new shrines come in. Each shrine focuses on something you can do with the Zonai devices, which plays into the massive number of shrines. Nintendo managed to create this incredibly deep feature and then use filler content to teach players how to use it. It's great game design. If you're still not with me, let me tell you another story. I was adventuring around Hyrule and I came to this sphere floating in the sky. Intrigued by this object that stood out to me, I glided over to investigate. As soon as I entered from the top, I was disappointed. There was just a shrine in there. I felt as if my exploration had not been rewarded well, as Nintendo could have placed a cool boss battle here instead of just filler content. So, like the start of the game, I sighed and carried on. To my surprise, the shrine had been quite well designed, with it teaching me how to use the Zonai gliders, but I still felt robbed, until I exited the shrine and noticed the only way to leave the sphere was to use the gliders. This showed the game placed these shrines in areas where the stuff it taught could be used. I used the gliders in the game quite frequently when exploring, so for the game to teach me something as essential as gliding in a shrine I could have easily missed is quite special. Tears of the Kingdom is a great upgrade and sequel to Breath of the Wild in its exploration and interactions, and I believe the game does a great job of teaching these new interactions to the player while also fixing its repetition problem. And while I do wish the game didn't reuse the same shrine mechanic, I think the game should be praised for its masterful tutorial design. Thanks for watching.